he hasn't done anything. At the very least, the dude can put down the bottle.
Pretty
You know,
much, Kenny. That's how I see him too.
put down. That's one thing. For the starters, put down the bottle, right? Show people that you're trying to, you, you're trying to change to some degree, not giggling and laughing like some retarded monkey, right? Talking about ha ha ha, look at a 18-year-old girl I knocked up, you know, adding as if it's some kind of cool, fashionable thing to do. Now he's got another woman who's probably gonna get her knocked up too. He don't care.
Well, yeah, that's fair, and you know me, Kenny. I've never tried to like misrepresent things. I try to be honest, and I honestly think there's good in him that's fighting to win. That's my ultimate position here is that there's something in him that's better than what we see, and I think if he has some friends around him that give that the benefit of the doubt, and he really hits a hard place and really goes deep and tries to make changes, we might see a new Ethan Ralph come out. I mean, this dude is heading for a lot of big trouble, and that's the kind of point in the life where people do make that kind of change.
There was another guy just like that back in the day that people tried that with. You know who that guy was?
No.
His name was Bathtub Ross.
Okay.
All right, and there was a guy named Todd Wrangler, and Todd Wrangler had an idea. Todd Wrangler had his name was Todd Wrangler. Todd Wrangler had an idea. He said his idea was if Ross had somebody out there that didn't always troll him, that offered to be a friend to him, that maybe Ross would change. Maybe that's all Ross really needed was a friend. Right? Well, let me tell you something. I've had over 20 death threats from Ross since then. And I can tell you, just being his friend or attempting to not troll him was not the answer to that conundrum. The answer to that conundrum was, well, quite frankly, was to outcast him and pretend he didn't exist. Being a friend to that individual was not the answer.
Well, they're very similar, that's for sure, because they're both sociopaths. Both him and Boss. Both Ralph and him.
You know what I'm saying, Wolf? Do you understand that? Sometimes friends just can't change people like that, man.
Sometimes you have to turn your gorilla ass around and then slap it a little bit because it's red and it attracts faggots.
Yeah, that's
a good point.
That's Todd Wrangler's. That's Todd Wrangler's quote right there, by the way. Yeah.
So you think Ethan Ralph's just gonna keep being a piece of shit and crash and burn?
Unless he has time to self-reflect and sees the light, as it were.
Well, he's done it his whole life. His whole life has been being a piece of shit, and he hasn't turned around at all.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, and he's a lot worse than he was 4 years ago, 3 years ago. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see an individual wanting to improve. I mean, does anyone else here? Does anyone here see even the slightest glimpse of him wanting to improve right now?
Well, here's the thing, Wolfpup. How long have you been following Ethan Ralph? Like, how long have you known about him?
I'll say I kind of watched on the Sphere about 2 years, and then a year ago I kind of got involved. So maybe 2 years, year and a half ish.
So I've been watching him for 6 years, and he has not got better. Let's put it that way. There was a period where he had money and attention, and kind of people excused some of his bad behavior, but the bad behavior was always there. And it's been a downward trajectory, really.
Right. Well, I guess what I'm saying is that that's true. I can admit that that's true. I'm not trying to cover up reality. It's just I see a guy in a hard place whose bad decisions have struck him down time and again, who's starting to kind of like look at that and see the light. I mean, I was around him for 3 different IRL events in these last couple months, and I just told Kenny this. And you can tell, like I said just a moment ago, in person, you can tell when somebody's realizing, their flaws and looking at them internally. And I've kind of seen that in him. Now, maybe that doesn't become anything, but at the very least, I have seen some reflection and a little bit of effort on his part to try to address some of that in person. Like I've literally seen it.
If you don't, if you don't,
He's
if you don't
drinking
mind
more
me,
than ever.
well, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of self-reflection have you seen?
Doing meth in an alleyway.
Man, I was there. That was dabs, bro. They were trying to play that up. That
Yeah,
was dabs.
okay.
I did
No,
it too. It was
we
straight
don't
up. No,
believe you.
straight up.
We don't
That guy
believe
had
you.
dabs,
No
bro.
way. No, Chun.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I don't care about that though.
Aside from Schrodinger's meth, I guess he's
Schrodinger's
he's. I'm guessing
That's
he's
good.
come to you. I'm guessing he's come to you and he said, "Oh, I'm in such a bad place, dude. I've got all these haters are coming after me." Like, what's the extent of his self-reflection as far as you're
Well, the
concerned?
extent of it would be when we sat down on a bench in Atlanta, and it was just me, another sniper, and him. And the night was over. We had done all that we were doing. We were all drunk as fuck. And man, you could say this comes from the drunken stupor. Maybe it did, but for a good 10 minutes, I mean, we just sat there and talked about how, he was like, "Yeah, I realize I'm fucking burning everything I have to the ground, and this is not good. I can't keep being this way." And that whole spiel for a good 10 minutes, and it was heartfelt. And maybe it was the drunken stupor, and very well it could have been, but it did come out of him. And I would expect somebody who's not trying to make any effort to improve not to say things like that at all.
So I know that he knows everything is crashing and burning. Like, you'd have to be a complete retard not to see that. But is he aware of how he is contributing to his own downfall? Like, does he know exactly what it is that he's doing that's causing this?
Sorry to cut out. What'd you say?
Oh, sorry. Does he know what he's doing that's causing his downfall? Like,
Well, yeah, I can answer on that. So yeah, basically, like I said about his anger and how I see him making efforts improving, specifically in that moment where we were sitting down there, he brought that up. He was like, my anger is what is getting the best of me. That's what keeps dragging me down, and I really am trying to reel that in. He said that, he expressed it specifically. And again, this could have just been drunken bullshit, but I don't take it for that based on the context around that and what I've seen in other areas of hanging out with him. I mean, the guy seems to be making effort. Now, the effort might not be succeeding. It might not ever succeed, but I have seen the effort personally. So, and that's my opinion of what I've seen. So,
yeah, and that's absolutely fair. But I suppose what I wonder is, does he really believe that all of this is because of his anger, or does he not see that it's him being constantly smug and inviting all of the hostility and the hell to his door by being smug, by basically challenging people to fuck up his life?
like owning the A-logs type dynamic.
Yeah.
I think he didn't really speak much about that one. But I think it's there. I think he realizes he needs to get away from that. He didn't express that quite specifically as he did with his anger, but it's there. You can tell he knows that he needs to stop fucking with that shit. And I can kind of see himself trying to monkey branch to more wholesome things in a general sense. I know his behavior and actions don't kind of put that out, but just kind of the way he runs his show, how y'all said it's more vanilla now. That's sort of a kind of an inch in that direction, to me at least.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with DLive's moderation policies, right?
Yeah,
So
that's probably a big factor. Yeah, that's a fair point.
yeah. And I think it takes more than just shouting "Christ is King" to convince everybody you're born again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But are you aware of the whole of the origin of the revenge porn thing?
No, I don't scrub the farms to get the bottom
So
level scoop on all this shit.
I'll just give you a real short précis. So Faith's ex was doing a stream where he was revealing DMs from Faith during her time with Ralph. And in that stream, he's showing the DMs where Faith is saying, Ralph is gross, he's got breath like tampons, I'm not even having sex with him, he's so disgusting, blah, blah, blah. During this time that he's streaming, Ralph DMs him on Instagram, DMs him a link to a streamable video, and that video was the revenge porn. It was the porn. It was him fucking Faith. And that was his way of saying, haha, I showed you, you fucking bitch. I am fucking her. Everything she's saying is untrue. How do you feel now? So the reason I'm bringing that up is that moment right there, the cause of his current downfall, that was all brought about by this willingness to own the A-logs. And in particular, he wanted to own Faith's ex, right? So I'm not surprised you don't know about that, because a lot of viewers of the kill
Yeah, but
stream
at that moment, she was away from him, and he thought that they'd broken up. So that was another factor that he was also getting back at her, not just at Chris.
Yeah, absolutely, that's completely true. Yeah, but either way, it was a willingness to get revenge and own your haters and say, "Ha, you thought I wasn't having sex? I am having sex. Here's a video," right?
Well, that's if those allegations are as said, then that's pretty shitty behavior, I gotta say.
Well, it was recorded. It's not an allegation. There is a video of this happening. Okay, no, and I'm not surprised you haven't seen it, and I don't blame you for not knowing about it. But it's he's not just a sad alcoholic man who's gets a bit angry now and again. It goes quite a bit deeper than that.
Right. Oh, yeah, and me and Kenny, we touched on this earlier in the conversation, so I'll just recap. Kenny was saying, Ethan Ralph, the thing about him is he doesn't need alcohol or meth. I told him my family has a lot of meth heads in it, and I've seen far, far worse people than Ethan Ralph improve their lives, right? And really make the turn. But what he said to me was that, well, those people needed meth to be pieces of shit. Ethan Ralph doesn't need meth. He doesn't need alcohol. He just is vindictive and malicious. Well, fair enough. That is Ethan Ralph's personality. But at a certain point, being that way is going to pull enough shit onto you in your life that eventually the weight of all that bullshit you're bringing on yourself is going to make you go inside at some point, And maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. We've all seen the cases where it doesn't. We know the type of person. But can't I just hope for the best for him? Hope he goes inside and turns it around?
Of course you can. But you'll have to forgive people like me and Kenny Jones for thinking that that's a naive assessment, because we know Ralph really well. We know what he's like. We know his motivations. We know how to push his buttons. And I guess we've come to the conclusion that at 35 years old, it's probably too late for a turnaround. He will hit rock bottom eventually, and everything will be taken away from him. But I don't see necessarily that he's going to be a good person after this.
Well, I guess I disagree on one thing. There is that at 35, that seems to me to be kind of like the golden window, like 35 to 45, is kind of what I've seen in my experience of life, where people do hit that bottom and turn around is kind of happens in that window of period of time in their life. They have like their midlife crisis, they come to God or whatever they fuck they do, and they change, or they don't, and then they stay that way, and that seems to me to be the kind of the trend is that midlife age areas where that kind of happens. So I don't know, I'm hoping for the best for him, and I see some good in him that's trying to win, and maybe it doesn't,
Yeah, well,
I just don't see, like, you talking about you see good, like, I just can't. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at. I just can't. I can't see the good. At least on the internet, right? You're talking about in real life that something like that happened, but on the internet, from my point of view, I'm looking at with a microscope, and I can't see nothing.
The way you say shit is funny, Kenny.
That's what Faith said. No?
That's what I'm saying now. That's kind of like the attitude she had before she got burned, is what you're saying?
No, I just meant that she needed a microscope to see anything.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I guess you would have to have hung out with him and see what I saw.
Do you not think that the first prison sentence was his chance to change?
Oh, man.
That's a fair point. If he was going to change, he should have done it when he did some hard time. Yeah, that's a fair point.
He had the chance to change.
How in the world do you think Ralph has any redeeming qualities, bro?
Well,
I'll tell you like this. Let me say what the frame of mind I went into going to DC and Atlanta and Tampa and everything. When I went out there, I was thinking, all right, here's a chance to meet some of these guys and network for when I want to get involved in this shit. I know Ethan Ralph's not the best guy, yada yada. Well, but hear me out. I mean, I also went mainly for Stop the Steal. The fact that Ethan Ralph and them were there, that was just like, all right, I get to meet some people I watch, whatever. But then after I hung out with them a couple times for the 2 Stop the Steal things I went to, it was it became a little different. I started to see some dynamic and complexity to his character. I don't just think he's a fat degenerate piece of shit now. I think he's a guy who is a fat degenerate piece of shit who's struggling not to be. That's my impression after having met him in a few different states. So, if you can make a convincing argument counter to that, I'm willing to hear it.
Don't mix up him being eat up with insecurity in IRL shit with like him being like not a real piece of shit online, right? And he is obsessed with himself online.
Well, I mean, isn't most everybody though?
Yeah, I told him he's a two-faced.
No, most people don't like wreck their whole lives over online shit. No, the vast majority of people don't wreck their lives over online things. And they don't.
The online persona or the persona that you see of Ethan Ralph is not the Ethan Ralph that you think.
Yeah, the IRL Ethan Ralph. Yeah, I'm sure there's like a introverted side to Ethan Ralph when he's in IRL because he's eat up with insecurity because he's fat as shit. He keeps gaining weight and he looks terrible. Like, and he knows it, and he knows. Like, if you remember like the Gunt shit when it first happened, like he looks worse now, right? And he was already eat up being made fun of for that shit, right? Like, you can only imagine, like, he hates being on IRL streams, but he does it because it makes money. Like, if you don't see this shit, bro, I don't know what to tell you, I've known Ralph for a long I've known Ralph for a long fucking time, bro. And he's a real piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't normally agree with Mustard, but this time I have to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's not a piece of shit. I'm just saying there's also some good in there, And I hope for the
there's
best
not,
that
because
wins.
like any type of like good that you see is just him trying to get info on you or get close to you so he can burn it later when it's convenient for him.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
I mean, do you really think he's that? You think he's that Machiavellian?
We know he is, though. We know he
I
is.
mean, Machiavellian implies some kind of genius behind it, but no, I think he's a sociopath. I do think he's a sociopath.
Mhm.
I mean,
No,
he
when he finds out he no longer has any use for you, right? That's when you'll see his true nature, right? When he finds out he has absolutely like you like there's no benefit from even putting on the pretense of being your friend or anything. That's when the knives start coming out to stab you in the back. Right then.
Well, make no mistake, I don't count Ethan Ralph as a friend. You know, I
You don't
know he's
have
number
to.
one
He'll
an
still use you.
opportunist.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've been saying he's gonna backstab everyone around him. I've been saying that since before Zidane left, right? I mean, I've been saying this shit forever, man. My opinion hasn't changed to him. It's like I've only been proven right over time, especially through all this face shit. Like it's insane, man.
Well, I mean, look what happened to Dame Pesos, right? Or even Josh Moon. He was
Look what happened to anybody who associated themselves with Ethan Ralph, except for Gator.
He did a
And
wild
look
goose, and he
at
told
Gator
me
has had
that he was back
his
into the
whole
hills
persona
Well,
for
even
anyone
then,
except for
and
dragged
I'll
through
argue
the
against
mud because
myself
he
here.
wants to be there and defend Ethan Ralph.
Yeah, I'll argue against myself a little bit here. Is you know, he has even done that shit with Gator because I'm actually privy to some stuff that's not out there, and that actually has happened with Gator too. So the track record is consistent across all parties involved. It's just I'm looking
It's just Gator's a
faithfully.
simp. We all know Gator's a
I'm
simp.
looking faithfully to elements of a character that I've personally witnessed that they might be able to win out.
Look,
And you know, I
I'm
could be
trying to tell
wrong.
you that like that introversion and that insecurity that you're getting and you're reading as openness, like reading as not hostility, is just
Mhm.
the insecurity. That's all you're reading into right there. And I'm trying to
yeah.
tell you that because like he hates the IRL shit. And you can watch him and you can see like it eats him up knowing that like people are just taking screenshots after screenshots of
Well,
him every time he
that's
turns
why
to the
he's
fucking
never
side.
on. That's why he's never on camera. You know, like when he's IRL. But like Wolfpup, what I can see in you is that you're like any ordinary, decent, honest person who's become acquainted with a psychopath for the first time. Like you're trying to evaluate someone like Ralph in the way that you'd evaluate like any normal person. But the mistake you've made is that it's not a fucking normal person, right? It's this beast, essentially. And like, and you say with Gator, what was he doing with? Was he like threatening him, or like saying, "Oh, if you turn
Well,
against me"?
that's not on my I don't think I have the right to put those stories out there, but we'll just say he's crossed him in the way that you guys are saying he's crossed other people, and you know, it's
Right.
consistent even with Gator. So
Yeah.
Well, talking about Ross, Boss had Ross earlier, that he's a sociopath, and that Ralph is exactly like him in that sense.
Yeah.
There's no
I mean,
turning Ethan Ralph into a good person.
yeah.
I disagree. I think that's the fundamental disagreement I have. I think there is a chance that he can become a good person. I do honestly believe that.
Only through divine intervention.
Mate, he's a sociopath. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, bro.
I've seen sociopaths come around, and that's why I'm saying what I say. I've seen far worse people than Ethan Ralph come around. And you're right, Kenny. It's God is what has to do it for them, and maybe that's just the benefit of the doubt I'm giving him is that he might turn to God and all this stress and all the bullshit he's brought on himself. That might
He'll
just be
LARP
where he's
it.
at.
He'll LARP it for the views and for the numbers, bro. But he ain't gonna
That's
live
a
it.
fair point.
I've never
That's a
heard
fair
a
point. He might just put
sociopath
it on.
turn not into a sociopath.
Like
Yeah.
So you think no
me
matter
watching
how
Ralph and
much
fucking that lolly bitch post fucking Bible quotes is like that's so disgusting to me.
I don't know about all that lolly shit with her. I have yet to investigate that. I am curious, but
You've
She,
really got do yourself a favor, mate, and look into this stuff because it's not all broke dick farms. Just making shit up. there's always screenshots, there's always receipts, there's always, a trail of evidence. Look into this stuff. And you'll be amazed at the kind of people you've been spending your time with. I guarantee
Yeah.
you.
Well, that's all well and good.
She sleeps with child porn above her bed. She sleeps with posters of animated toddler above her
Right,
bed.
and I don't avow any of that shit personally. I disavow all the lolly shit. I'm not for it. But
Sickening.
I mean,
But
You
by
fucking hung
associating
out
with
for
it,
hours,
you're gonna come off as co-signing. It's gonna come off like you accept this stuff by associating with her, by being
right.
around her. You know,
Well, I'm
your
not.
name is now. If people think of
I'm
your
not
name, they're gonna
endorsing
think of Ethan
Pantsuit
Ralph
Party. I
Pantsuit.
mean, I'm aware she has a black ledger, and I'm not trying to endorse or avow anything on her. My fight here is totally only that I want Ethan Ralph to redeem himself, essentially.
Well, are you aware of the whole the polyamorous business?
Yeah.
That went, yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you read those messages?
Yeah, I've scrubbed a little bit of that, and I think I have some inside information on it that isn't out there. And all I can say about that is that my position on that situation might be a little bit different from the norm. I think powerful people tend to do that kind of thing. People who are socially held up in positions of influence, like Ralph is, tend to take advantage of
In
that
his
to have
mind,
multiple
bro.
women.
Did you just say
Well, I
that?
mean, he has these women coming to him, and they were almost willing to do
Yeah,
that
he's
situation.
got like, I mean, no offense, but like, I've never dated a woman as ugly as Faith, and I've also never dated a woman who's got a record of, fucking lolly posting, right? So I don't really think he's getting these high tier broads, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I got 3 kids of my own, but I don't think anything Ralph has done as far as like I've seen every woman he's dated, because I've been paying attention to Ralph for a very long time, and like they're not that good looking. You like Nora was like seemed like she was a decent person, right? But I mean, she was fucking butt ugly too. So I mean,
Oh, grinding and pussy, logs. You're just all haters.
Wolfpup, let me ask you this: the inside baseball that you're party to, you don't have to tell us what it is, but does it change the leaks in such a way that it makes it okay, or like
No. It's consistent with the feeling that people have about the thing now. But what I'm trying to get at is that I don't judge the whole polyamory thing on the same standard that someone else might, because my standards for a spiritually good person don't exclude that situation for them if they're a powerful person. I see that as sort of a normal trend in humanity, biologically, from a biological sense. Yeah.
So I'm not even getting into like the lifestyle business of polyamory, but what I saw in those leaks that were absolutely disgusting, it was the fact that you've got a 35-year-old man trying to convince his pregnant 19-year-old mental girlfriend, trying to convince her that she has to join this polyamorous relationship that she's not comfortable with. She has to do it, otherwise she's being ungrateful, she's being a difficult bitch, and if she doesn't join the relationship, then I guess it's over, and you're gonna have to raise that kid on your own, bitch. Like, can you not see how that's disgusting? And it's nothing to do with having sex with more than one woman. It's the manipulation.
You're talking about biology, but then you're talking about morality, as in he's trying to be a better person. Well, by doing his polyamorous stuff with Faith, which quite hurt her, that wasn't anything to do with biology. That's just being a fucking asshole.
Well,
to a girl that he just got pregnant.
With your child, your fucking first child,
Well, that's fair points, but like I said, I look upon the whole polyamory situation differently. Now, the interpersonal guilting and stuff like that, that's not the best behavior. And I'm not saying that... look, I'm not trying to say Ethan Ralph's a saint. I'm not trying to paint over the black in his ledger. That's not what I'm here to do. All I'm saying is I have faith in the good sides of him, and I don't see the behavior that he did in that situation as damning to the point that no redemption could happen. Right?
He hooked up
I
with some like vulnerable 18-year-old girl. Like she secluded herself from her parents, probably because of their relationship. And then she got pregnant, and then he put her in a situation where she had to choose between like what's best for the baby and what's best for her, and she had to leave, right? And it's all because Ralph, right? Like it's not like this was just some like no man. I don't know how you see it like that when he's like 35 years old. It's obviously not like a normal relationship. No matter what Ralph's gonna tell you, right? Like being 35 and dating an 18-year-old, like he's not. Yeah, I
Well,
don't
yeah.
know.
When you put aside the based and red pilled biology of spreading your seed and all this kind of business, when you put that aside, what you've really got is a 35-year-old man grooming what is essentially a child. Like mentally, developmentally, she's a fucking child. And she's being guilted into sharing the father of her child with another woman who she suspects to be a pedophile. Right? Like that. This is what it is, right? And I do genuinely believe that you're an admirable person who wants to see the best in people. But personally, I struggle to see how there is a redemption from that kind of behavior. I don't see how you come back from that.
Do we also need to talk about, oh man, but you're my best friend, I'll never do anything to you, and then just, go and throw him under the bus because he said something bad about him by fucking saying he's gonna release some fucking tape of him crying about his aborted child. Like, what the fuck? But a good person does not do that to their friends.
Do you know about that,
Or
Wolfpup?
really anyone.
Yeah, I was around for that, and
Okay.
I remember that small arc. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess okay. So let me just kind of flesh out my perspective on the polyamory a bit, so it doesn't look like I'm just avowing degeneracy because I'm not. And the way I see it is, so this guy, this girl comes to him. She's got interest. Obviously, if you're 35 and your prospects aren't the best looking or whatever, you might say about Ralph.
He
You might
currently
take
had
that.
a
You might.
girlfriend that was pregnant.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Faith, like coming to him, being interested. You might take the same. You might take that with her as well. Getting with an 18-year-old at 35. You don't know. In his position,
Well,
what
I
would you have
do
done?
know. I'm 30 years old. I wouldn't. I don't date people that young.
Well, fair point. But again, what I'm trying to get to is that if he did get involved in this relationship with Faye, and then he became uninterested even after having a kid, that's not entirely an abnormal position. Guys do that all the time. They sow their oats, they move on, they're not there for the kid. That's just like a kind of a normal staple of humanity to me at this point, with where society is.
But man, if
So,
this was in isolation, the only thing Ralph had done, I could look past it. But it's simply like just a pattern of behavior that he does to every person he gets involved with, right? It's not the one thing. It's like if you look at each event exclusively, it's like, yeah, I could get past that. But then it's like that's every single thing that happens, right? You know what I mean? Like it's like a pattern of behavior where he just like uses people around him until they're inconvenient
that
for
sticker
him,
is
and then he
cancer.
tries not he doesn't just let him go. He just like tries to burn him down in retaliation for some perceived slight against him.
But I
Right.
think Wolfpup was about to flesh out his thoughts on polyamory.
Yeah.
So
So from that point on losing interest and moving forward and not being involved with the child again, that to me is not the most morally reprehensible thing out there. In fact, you could even see it as normal and excusable in some scenarios. I'm not saying it is here. There's certainly a bit of a downside morally for him there, in the way he acted. But again, this goes back to his anger issues, and you have to imagine over a period of months that this developed, with everything going on in his life and with all the people after him, and the way he blows up. You can see some of these conversations have mitigating factors attached to them. That once you consider, it's like, okay, I can see how he got to that point and said those things, and it wasn't entirely that he engineered this from the fucking onset and was like, oh, I'm gonna get these guys into these girls into this situation and totally manipulate them against it. I don't see him sitting there saying that to himself. I just think he was in a situation he'd his anger issues probably got the best of him in at various points. That's what I see.
But here we're talking about him being angry that he's being denied his threesome.
Well, no,
Right.
I mean, his anger could have come from anywhere. I mean, anybody who has anger issues, anything can flare that up, and you can take it out on any other situation in your life that's not even involved. It could have been a guy looked at him wrong in a store. He went home and said some of the shit he said, and who knows? Who really knows? But at the end, what I see is that he does want, at the very least, to try to improve on some of these things that are causing him to act that way. And I do firmly believe that that's what I saw in Ethan Ralph when I hung out with him.
But when you say it's anger or whatever, I'm having trouble with that because if you're angry with someone, you might say, "You fucking bitch, you cunt, I hope you die," whatever. It doesn't seem like it's acting out of anger when he says things like, I'm always going to resent this if you don't do the polyamory. I'm always going to resent this, and I don't see how we're going to be together if we don't have a threesome. I don't know. I just really struggle to see that as acting out of anger. It's much. What is it? It's a lot easier to explain those actions through manipulation. Don't you think?
Right. I don't see the premeditated manipulation there. I don't see it. Certainly it could be plausible, but I don't personally see that that's what happened.
You just have to look at the time frame of it, really. Like, it's not like this was some drawn out endeavor. Like, this happened really quickly. Like, he just really quickly was like, okay, if you're not, if I can't do this thing with this, Digibro's ex-wife, then, we can't work out together. You know what I mean? Like, it just went down like that. Like, it wasn't like some drawn out endeavor where it's like he goes and he develops feelings for this girl, and like it was like within weeks, man.
That's called emotional blackmail, pretty much. There's blackmail at least to get what you want. Not on.
Well, I know that it can come off that way, but let me continue to flesh this out a bit here. And I know it looks like I'm excusing completely degenerate behavior. I'm not trying to.
Can I just stop you there, Wolfpup?
Well, no. Let me get to this because I didn't get to say this part. There's she lives across the nation. He's got his show. He's got his unique job setup that it is, by all means, not a traditional setup for work, the way he makes income, right? Mm-hmm. And then he's got this girl that's across the nation, and she doesn't have any aspects for work. You might start to look at some of the financial factors there and feel certain ways like, well, maybe I can't support this girl. Maybe I can't support this kid without a kind of fucked up polyamorous situation, and I'm not saying that that's reasonable or logical, okay? And I'm not avowing it. I'm just saying that with the character flaws Ethan has, you can kind of start to understand these mitigating factors coming into play at various points through this, and in his mind, he thought that this was the way to go, and that may not have been right. I'm not saying it is. But that I can see I can see that as more likely than like kids, premeditating this whole thing.
I had my first kid at 19. This like the whole like, oh, I might need a whole nother person in my relationship to help raise these kids. It's bullshit, bro. Like kids up until like they start school, are relatively not that expensive. Like, they're really not.
But this is missing the point, though. Like, if you need extra money to fund your kids and everything, get a lodger, get someone else in to pay rent. You don't have to stick your dick in someone. Like, where does this factor into it? Where you need to have sex with another person in order to raise your children?
I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, I think the interest between him and Faith died out somewhere right after they had the pregnancy come, and I think he started to say, okay, I want Pantsu, but then he does want to also be there for the kid, so he tries to make this
somewhere
joint
between the sex tape
that,
releasing and him trying to sleep with another woman.
This is
Wait a minute.
black
Let me
and
get
white,
this.
dude.
Let me ask
This
you
is
this
fucking
right here.
unbelievable. You're
Hold on
exactly
a
like
second.
Aziz. You got this blindfold on.
And yes, Ogata, I am
This
anti-degeneracy.
is
I don't
bad.
avow any of the shit
This is
Pantsu
no
does.
excuses
And
for this type of shit. You're like Aziz, just to make these excuses for him.
Yeah, look, Wolfpup. Let me ask. Like, I've never heard this before. This is some out there kind of stuff. So let me get this straight, right? So the more rational reason isn't that he wants to have a three-way with two women, right? The more rational reason is he wants to get together with another woman so he can help finance another relationship with a kid he kind of wanted but not really wanted.
well,
And so
now, hold on, Ogata. I'm not saying that the degeneracy was okay. What I'm saying
I'm
is
not saying that but I'm
I
just
can
saying
see
like
how it
the reason
happened
you're
in a
giving
way that
like for
isn't
his
as bad as the people are saying it is. That's what I'm saying. There's
behavior
mitigating
is
factors
crazy.
that should be considered. That's what I'm getting
Well,
at.
mitigating factors. I mean, the man. I don't. I just look. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, Wolf. I mean, what kind of like I've never heard of anyone that would have a kid and think to himself, you know what, make this more simple and more easier for everybody if we include another woman in our relationship. I mean, who's ever thought like I
As
don't.
I said,
I
he's
don't see it. I
exactly
don't
like
see it that way.
Kaz. He would just make
I
any
see that.
excuse for this guy. It is unbelievable.
Yeah,
Well,
bro. Like,
no. What I'm saying is, I think the relationship between him and Faith was over at a certain point, and it started with him and Pantsu. And I think he still wanted to try to salvage whatever was there with Faith at that point by bringing it into that other situation. Now, I don't agree with that, but that might have been what was in his head. And I don't think you have to have some sinister, manipulative plan going into all this with these people for that to happen out of the pressures that come along and being involved in those situations. I mean,
But you
life's not
see,
pretty, and it
even
breaks bad sometimes. That's just the way it goes. And it's not like people are always trying to make it happen the way it does. It just does sometimes. I mean, I've seen some bad shit, man. And it's not
so,
always people trying to make it happen. It just does.
Wolfpup, what's your take on the choking incident?
Well, I don't even know about that.
Okay, so he choked Faith when they were in DC, and
so after she found out she was pregnant.
oh yeah, way after. Yeah, this is just
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
yeah. He choked her and he said, "Do you know
I
who
can
I
understand
am?"
choking a bitch,
Is
but
there
not a pregnant one.
is there text or video confirmation of this? Because I try not to go off of just allegation.
No, I
Like,
don't think anybody.
did he say that he did
It's
this?
an allegation, but we're talking about the person. We have video confirmation of him releasing the sex tape. I mean,
Well, I mean, I don't
who
think it's
does
fair
that
to
to
follow
their
one wrong from
partner?
another. Look, guys, I'm not trying to paint Ethan Ralph as a saint. Okay, I
No,
just have
I
faith
understand
in his redemption. I really want that, and I believe he's trying for that internally. So
I just I just can't. I don't even know. I can't even think of anything.
I mean,
I mean,
I'm just the
I
kind
got
of guy
plenty
that
to say.
staunchly looks to the best in people.
If you
I
can't think of
mean,
anything.
I don't have to avow the things he did to say, that might be the case, but he still has a good part in him that's trying to get out. That's
that.
just the
He
way I
took
look at
he
people.
took in an 18-year-old girl. He got her pregnant, right? He also released a sex tape of her.
Yeah.
Oh man, like, and
I
then
think
tried to
think
force someone
ultimately,
into the
my ultimate
relationship that
view,
was
my ultimate view on the
associated with like
situation.
pedos. You know, it's like crazy. Like, I hated the guy before any of this happened, so I find it hilarious that anybody could still defend Ralph at this point.
And
Like,
yet it's happening right now. That's what I'm saying. Like I
it's
can't even fathom. Like
he's got more of a hold on you than he does any of these women.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I
I
just
he
would.
must
believe in
be a
Ethan. You know.
he must be a romantic in real life. That's all I can say.
Yeah, well, I am.
He wooed you.
I'm a romantic Christian, like traditionally romantic
I'm a
Christian, as
Christian,
far
bro.
as
Like, you're
hoping people can improve.
you
Yeah.
saying, like, you think he's gonna like be redeemed, right? But like it just doesn't happen like that. It doesn't. Like,
Well, I mean,
you
you can
can't
say it
you
doesn't, but
can't
I've
be a
seen it
piece of
personally.
shit
I've
and
seen, like I said to Kenny earlier, I've seen people far worse off than Ralph. Far worse off than
yeah,
Ralph. Come
and that's what
far
I'm saying.
further
Ralph won't
distances.
ever seek that kind of redemption till he's way worse off than he is. Okay. Like
Mm,
he's
mm.
gotta hit rock bottom before he ever tries to make any change in his life.
No,
And
I'm not a furry. The
despite
name
where he
comes
is,
from when I first made Xbox Live.
he's
I
not
was a
at
kid
rock
that did.
bottom.
I started doing LSD early on in life, so when Xbox came around, I made my gamer tag. I said LSD Wolfpup because I liked wolves and I was young. That was where that came from, and the nickname stuck with me. I'm not a furry. I disavow the furry community. They're a bunch of degenerates.
Well, Wolfpup,
Just to point that out.
I think you're a very fair person. I think your heart's in the right place. But what I would say is, watch out. Don't tell Ralph any personal information. Don't have any DMs with him that could be leaked. Make sure everything is sewed up from like an OPSEC perspective, because you'll find out what he's really about if you upset him. So just for fuck's sake, keep yourself safe. Don't tell him where you live. Just take precautions. You'll
Yeah, I
thank me
mean,
later.
fuck you, bro. Fuck you, man.
Oh, fuck me.
No, fuck you, man.